This episode of the Good Ship Brothership is brought to you by Sending It.
Send it!
Sending It is what we do here. Head on over to www.areyoussilly? What? Did I say that right?
Yeah. Go back and listen to it, you goose.
No. You know what I'm going to do instead? I'm going to send it.
What is a quaalude?
Drugs.
Really?
Yeah.
Look it up.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Good Ship Brothership, episode
16.
16. I'm one of your brothers, Jason.
Wow.
No, it says quaalude. Yeah. Methaqualone, sold under the brand name Quaalude and sometimes stylized Quaalude in the U.S. and Mandrax in the U.K. and South Africa, is a sedative and hypnotic medication. It is a member of the quinazonileone class. I think that was from The Godfather.
Yeah, that's one of the characters.
Don Quinazonileone.
Oh boy. Quinazoni. That's that chef mom likes.
No, I said Quinazonileone.
Gennaro Quizzoloni. Inventor of the Twizzoloni.
And this is the other brother, Grant.
Hey everybody. You all probably know that.
I
assume.
Let's start by saying the media we're consuming. I just feel like it's a very rich time in my life for what I've been consuming, even though I don't think I have a ton of free time. I'm working full-time in the summer, though, so I get to listen to a lot of music, a lot of podcasts, not a lot of Good Ship Brotherships. What have you been listening to and playing and things? Because I'm actually curious, because I don't know what games you've been playing, really.
I've been, for games, for book consumption, I'm still battling my way through As I Lay Dying by William Faulkner, which is like, it's very good, and it would be a lot easier if I had more powers of concentration / just took some time to like sit more often. But it's a very good book. Highly recommend it.
We'll probably never review it.
You never know. It's not a long book. It's 200 pages. About a family who basically bury their dead mother. And it's narrated by each of the family members in turn in first person.
Weird.
For
maybe
like
I'll give it a go
differing. Some of these chapters can be 5 pages. Some are like literally one line.
Yeah.
So that's what I've been reading. For games, I've been playing Bloodborne and Dark Souls 3.
No Broken Age in there?
Oh yeah, sorry. I've been motoring through Broken Age. There's nothing like a good Double Fine puzzle adventure game. There's so much. It's like sitting in bed and reading a book.
First one you've played, but that's okay.
Huh?
First one you've played, but that's okay.
No, it's not.
What did you play? Fight me.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
No, you're not serious.
Yeah. Come at me.
Grim Fandango?
That's not Double Fine. That's LucasArts.
Well, it's
by Tim Schafer.
Okay, a Tim Schafer. Wow.
He's just one man. He's just one man. They're different studios.
You dip shizzle.
Whoa. Censor that.
Maybe. But yeah, so I've been playing that. Great game, a lot of fun. Still not as good as Grim Fandango, but you know what is.
Then what is, yeah.
But yeah, and I've new game plus in Dark Souls 3 and just a new game in Bloodborne. I beat Father Gascoigne first try today.
Oh, he's such a good boss.
It was really fun. Guess what I'm really good at now in Bloodborne? Parrying.
Good job.
I parried the crap out of everyone.
That's how you got to do it.
Pow, pow.
At least you're not backstabbing like scum of the earth.
I don't know if you can. Can you do that in Bloodborne though?
Yeah, I think so. Well, I don't know.
I don't think that you can actually.
Google it maybe while I talk, just for fun, because I'm curious.
And in terms of music, we just discussed this, so I should have left off. But been listening to Brothers in Arms by Dire Straits. Like, that's it. And it was one of those things. I found I got a great haul of CDs from. Hey, this is what you should take tomorrow.
Oh, I've been listening to more Tragically Hip actually.
So I found in Walmart. I found Cage the Elephant's debut album, a CD. When I say album, I mean CDs. I found their debut album for $5, which is like just
$5. That's
such
what my supervisor
steal.
Says when they play the lottery.
Such a steal. And Purple Rain by Prince. which was $5, and then I found Road Apples by the Tragically Hip for $5.
Road Apple sounds like something you'd say and be like, that was the name of my first album.
I know, yeah. What an ugly cover too, eh?
It's not as bad
Looks
as
absolutely terrible.
SMH.
Yes, it is.
No.
Yeah. Look at what are these Scrabble tiles?
At least I can.
And then
at least it's not like
Scrabble
half a
tiles, a
letter.
postcard, and then oh look, more Scrabble tiles, but from my friend's
But at
game
least
because we didn't have
it's
enough
not cut
letters
off.
to spell out. Anyway, but and then I found Brothers and I was by Dire Straits for $8.
Yeah.
And I've been just loving that album. It's got a lot more soul and a lot more relevance than I thought it would.
Yeah.
And like amazing, just the right amount of, because it was put out in 1985, which you know, for reasons known to us, is a year that I'm sort of obsessed with, I guess. And it's got just got a dash of that 80s like cheese in it,
but not too much.
but not too much at all. And the guitar
charming.
playing's like absolutely
Mark
amazing.
Knopfler is phenomenal.
And yeah, it's just a really fun album. And I've been listening to Tom Waits.
I gotta get
Tom
around to that
Waits'
sometime.
debut album, Closing Time, I listened to a little bit, which is kind of like a raunchy, like piano-driven, pub music kind of atmosphere. But it is really fun. I've been listening to it while I write. What about you?
Well, I have, for games, I've kind of been all over the place. I haven't had a ton of free time lately, but I've also really been trying to motor through some stuff. I'm like 3/4 of the way through the original Dead Space, which I'm really loving, but it's kind of dragging on in like the third act, and I feel like it's getting a little played out, so I'm not sure if I'll finish it, but I'll try to. I started Ori and the Blind Forest, which is just like a tour de force in phenomenal visuals and like really tight platforming. Shame on me, I started with a keyboard and then just regretted that and switched to a controller.
Yeah, you can't do that.
No. And it's a tough game, like not
Yeah,
right
that's
off
what
the
some
bat,
people
but once
say.
you get into it, it gets
Yeah.
pretty tough. And then I've also been going through Paladins and TF2. Now, I know we're getting a lot of banter here, but it's okay because it's good banter, because I haven't told you this at all. I recently booted up TF2, Team Fortress 2, very popular online shooter, for the first time.
Sugar.
Couldn't figure out how to ban voice chat, and then ended up basically rage quitting the game because of these kids who were playing with me. Their whole squad was called, like their squad call sign was Dank.
Oh.
And there was one guy who was Dank Memes. One guy was called Dank Lemons, which I did. And there was another guy, I think, who was just called like Dank. And they were all on the chat like, Dank Lemons, I need you to cover me down in the sewers. And they were just talking, making these really, making these jokes about autism that, I mean, could be insensitive, but they weren't even like insensitive, like a little bit funny. Like, you know how bad but funny? They were just like, wow, you're so edgy. Like, clearly an iDubbbz fan straight from the womb. And so, yeah, I basically rage quit TF2 because of them.
Wow.
But it was, I mean, I had to go to bed also.
That's what you told yourself.
Yeah, basically.
It was 6 p.m.
For books,
I'm going to bed!
I sadly have really stalled out on 1984 by George Orwell. I think I'm just going to skip. I was talking to Spencer and Dav, who I met over last weekend.
Hello, if you're listening.
They're not.
Why wouldn't they?
Because they still haven't accepted my friend request thing on Steam. They gave me their Steam IDs, and then, well,
Are
actually...
they on Facebook?
Yeah, but they don't
Are
actually...
they, do you like how I said
Are they
that?
on
Are they on
Facebook?
Facebook?
They don't have internet right now, so, you know, I can forgive that.
What kind of excuse is that,
yeah.
honestly?
But I was talking to them about 1984, and they said they also skipped that big, long section where he's reading the book, so I was like, well, maybe I should just...
It's kind of important. Like, it's...
I don't know.
It's not... Like,
I understand
just
the premise.
read
Yeah.
it. Like... I read it.
But having stalled out on that, I just went back to The Road by Cormac McCarthy, and I've just been motoring through that. Like, I'm more than halfway through it now. I've just been reading it on my breaks, and like,
I
just
think
doesn't get much better.
I
than
think
that.
the secret to that book is that it's the perfect like distillation of his writing style. Not the setting is the perfect setting for his style. Oh. And like The setting is stark and wild, which lends itself to his kind of savage descriptions. The characters are few, which makes it easier to read his style of writing dialogue.
Yeah, just a fantastic book. And then music, I've been going through, listening to a lot of Cage the Elephant, Kendrick Lamar, some Tom Petty, some Tragically Hip. Listened to a lot of The Killers today. And then what I've been listening to that's new is Shadows, the 2012 album by Sean James and the Shapeshifters.
Who recommended them to you?
Actually, the way I found out about them was in the trailer for The Last of Us 2. Ellie's playing that song. I was that can't be an original song. Looked it up. It's from Sean James and the Shapeshifters 2012 album, Shadows. So it's definitely interesting. No verdict yet. Maybe we'll review it. I don't know. Okay, that's enough of that. Let's just
Backstabs in Bloodborne can be performed by holding R2, charging up your heavy attack and releasing it into the back of the enemy. The enemy will be brief.
Why do you say into the back of the enemy? Like, where else is it going to be?
No, wait. No, you're not letting me finish here. The enemy will be briefly staggered, allowing you to position yourself directly behind it and press R1. Performing the backstab.
Okay,
so you have to
only
stun
when they're
them
staggered.
and then...
Which seems weird because a charged R2 should... anyways.
Yeah.
We're getting a little litigious.
We're off in the weeds.
Why does one of the people always ask, what is the cleric beast?
What do you mean?
Who would ask that? Like,
I don't know.
What a strange question. That's like a Jeopardy question. What is the cleric beast? I'm pretty stoked about this episode. It's been too long since we recorded, but I feel pretty good. I feel pretty loose.
How about you?
I feel like we have some interesting stuff to talk about today, which I don't think we've even said yet. We're like 12 minutes in.
That's fine.
Which reminds me, I recently looked at that game 12 Minutes. You remember Kind of Funny did that Let's Play? Where like cops are coming to your door in 12 minutes?
Right. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's still not out. I was like, I would love to play that game. It looks sick.
It was literally just the one guy making it.
Yeah. But he had it playable like a couple hours ago.
Yeah, but it was only part of it.
I guess.
I need to get better at doing that.
Welcome aboard the Good Ship Brothership, the only arts podcast that covers music, literature, film, movies, and squeaky ducks.
I'd like to go back and I'd like to do the spiel right now just to show you how it should go. But
go
I'm
ahead.
not
it's
even.
Not better. It's
no,
not. Go ahead.
I'm not even gonna let you.
Okay, fine. What was I gonna Google?
Well, here's the thing, Jason. When you say the spiel correctly, it ends off with "What are we talking about today?"
What are we talking about today?
Oh wow, look at that! And it also you introduce us.
But we already were introduced, so that's why I didn't again.
Oh, I bet it is. Yeah, it's not because you have absolutely no idea what you're.
I'm
doing
the loosest tool in the shed, Jason.
We're talking about an album. We're talking about Cleopatra, the second album by the Lumineers, which is like the second album
that
we've reviewed
talked about with
this
context.
Year, I think.
What were the others?
Well, 68.
Yeah.
And maybe it's just Alex Cameron?
Was that his second album? Alex Cameron's?
What, the one's coming out?
Oh, well, we haven't talked about it yet.
No, I know. There's a lot of sophomore albums. Anyway, we're talking about something new, something old. We're talking about Cleopatra by the Lumineers, which was out last year or something.
I'll look it up. And
The Shining, which was out ages ago.
Oh, do you have it there?
And
it's look at Cleopatra.
Probably like very out of date information. 2016.
Yeah, April.
Last year.
Good thing it wasn't in our discussions for best albums. Why didn't I come across that? Because I did lots of research for best albums. That's weird.
Wasn't on the list. Interesting.
Foreshadowing.
Interesting.
So, grab the puppet. Let's flip the puppet. Let's talk about what we're going to talk about.
I think...
I feel like the album art I feel like Cleopatra on the cover looks like the puppet face up.
Quite a bit, yeah.
Yeah, so I feel like if it's face up, we'll talk about the Lumineers. That's
we have to reflip that, folks. It
fouled up.
Got hung up on the mic stand.
Oh,
face
we're
down.
talking about The Shining.
The
I felt my
Shining
rib
first.
pop. That was a little weird.
Okay, just ignore it. Keep going.
Why don't you start with The Shining? I have more notes about the Lumineers.
All right, so I mean, I feel like a lot of people now obviously know of The Shining. They know the meme of Jack Nicholson with his face stuck through the door. They know the "Here's Johnny" thing.
I mean, that's all I knew until very recently.
Yeah, I know. There's I'm not disparaging anybody. So I was just going to use that as a preamble to say I'm going to read a description of it.
Yes, please do.
The Shining is a 1980 psychological horror film produced and directed by Stanley Kubrick and co-written with novelist Diane Johnson. The film is based on Stephen King's 1977 novel, The Shining. The Shining stars Jack Nicholson as Jack Torrance, an aspiring writer and recovering alcoholic who accepts a position as the off-season caretaker of the historic Overlook Hotel in the Colorado Rockies. His family accompanies him on the job, including his young son, Danny Torrance, played by Danny Lloyd.
Interesting that they have the same first
It is
names.
very interesting. I wonder if it's for reference for the kid.
Yeah, I also wonder if in the book...
Hold on. Danny Lloyd, who possesses The Shining, an array of psychic abilities that allowed Danny to see the hotel's horrific past. The hotel had a previous caretaker named Charles Grady.
Is this getting spoilery?
No. This is just like he hears about this when he's getting interviewed for the job.
Continue.
Okay. The hotel had a previous caretaker named Charles Grady, played by Philip Stone, where in a manner of cabin,
Like cabin fever?
yeah, he gets cabin fever, kills his wife and 2 daughters. After a winter storm leaves the Torrance's snowbound, supernatural forces inhabiting the hotel influence Jack's sanity, leaving his wife, played by Shelley Duvall, and son in incredible danger. Supporting roles are provided by Scatman Crothers. There's no way he's not the African
that's what I was
American.
thinking.
Barry Nelson, Ann Jackson, Joe Turkel, and Tony Burton. I think Joe Turkel was the guy who's in.
He doesn't have a picture though.
Blade Runner.
He's 90 years old. Good for
Yep,
him.
Dr. Eldon Tyrell.
Good for him.
Okay, so that's everybody's heard about The Shining, I think, as a film. Now, let's preface this by saying neither you nor I
I've read the book.
are horror movie fans.
Or have read the book.
Or have read the book, yeah.
That's correct. Although I haven't watched enough to formulate an opinion one way or another, so it's not that I dislike them.
I've watched a couple. They're really not my thing. A lot of them kind of leave you feeling like icky, from my experience. And there are proponents of them who will say, oh, it's great. Horror movies are all about the joy of life and like being alive, but that's just not true.
Yeah, you're not right.
Okay, so The Shining, directed by the famous Stanley Kubrick, directed 2001: A Space Odyssey would probably be his other most famous film. What else? Full Metal Jacket, Clockwork Orange, all this stuff. Like one of the most famous and recognizable directors of all time, I would say.
Yeah.
Like everybody knows the eyes like pried open thing from the Clockwork Orange with the and Kubrick's voice comes through like really loud and clear in this film and kind of lends itself to the story in a really nice way, in a way that I think he leveraged in many of his films. He's got a very clean and feel free to jump in with any agreements or disagreements. He's got a very clean, like antiseptic kind of disinfected look to his films, where everything is really evenly, brightly lit, for the most part.
But what I
or
would
just
say,
really beautifully lit.
What I would say is it's neutral in a very nice way, in that his shooting oftentimes doesn't add to or take away from actors' performances. When I think of antiseptic, I think of like a little bit faded, washed out color palette. Just when you say that word, it's quite vivid but not oversaturated.
His shooting often looks like Apple commercials, like good Apple, like but you know what I mean. Like it's a lot of white,
like with the Mac and the PC, where he's like running the walls.
It's very clean.
Yeah,
his shooting style is very clean, and
it's neutral in a good way.
You were saying something there a minute ago. You didn't go the way I thought you were going to, but it would have been nice if you had.
Sorry.
Where, yeah, you should feel bad. Where the way he shoots the film doesn't often tell you how to think.
Yeah.
Whereas with a lot of directors now, they're like, oh, shaky cam, action sequence. Oh no, something very violent's going on, and then a slow drifting shot will tell you that the character's in contemplation about his life. Or close shots will tell you that something secretive is going down.
Or that floating shot for like 30 seconds at the end of The Force Awakens will tell you
absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
Kubrick's method does not cater to that at all. I wouldn't say.
No.
He's a masterful orchestrator of image and color and balance. What's another word for balance? Symmetry. Yeah. Symmetry within a frame. His framings are really nice. Almost all the time you look at them, they are very symmetrical. And he was famous for how much of a perfectionist he was. We talked about this before, you and I, and it does show through, I think, in this movie. I'd like to say also Jack Nicholson is completely underrated as an actor. I think his performance in this is really, really good.
And what else have you seen him in?
Easy Rider, I've seen him in, which he was good in, and then The Departed, in which he's fantastic.
I've never watched The Departed. I feel like that's a bit of a gaping hole.
And like a selection of other films. I know he's like very highly regarded by film geeks,
but he's a bit of a B tier compared to the Who's Who or whatever.
Yeah, like I don't know. Well, Johnny Depp can even be a B actor. Like Tom Cruise is like the A-lister, and Brad Pitt, George Clooney.
I feel like he's more like buddies with like Stellan Skarsgård.
Yeah, but Jack Nicholson's awesome in this. I love how he does that. Like his smile is like stretched, and it like
he looks like
him
the Joker.
Well, he played the Joker, Jason,
in Tim Burton's.
No, the one before that. I think I have seen that one too. He's fantastic.
In the one with
as
George
the Joker.
Clooney? Was that before Tim Burton?
Let's look this up.
Because we're ignorant on old Batman, or I'm ignorant on old. Thanks, Jay Flack. I'm ignorant on old Batman films, but he looks like the Joker like all the time, and it's a little bit.
There he is.
Yeah, he looks. You wouldn't really know the difference.
He was phenomenal as the Joker. Like honestly, easily this like him, and then obviously
Heath Ledger.
Heath Ledger is better, but seriously, he's really good. Okay.
Probably because he just smiled.
But I love how he does that kind of like clean cut look and like acting. Not crazy. You just made it kind of like crazy face, but like, well, thank you very much, sir. And he's got like that old timey like kind of cadence and way of speaking, but he still just something about his appearance. He looks a little unhinged.
It's the big forehead.
His eyebrows that are just like but he's fantastic. I think that Shelley, who plays Wendy, his wife, she looks weird. She looks like a claymation.
Yeah,
which can sometimes I found distracting from her actual performance. I know that's kind of like a terrible thing to say. Yeah. Like she looked weird and it distracted from her performance. Really? But like she's just got buggy eyes and stringy hair and like massive crazy teeth.
I know. I mean, it seems like her hair's all stringy, greasy, and it seems like she's like
they've made her more pathetic than I wanted her to be.
And this isn't even about like the Bechdel test and strength of women. But I know what you mean. She's just really needlessly pathetic, and it's not even that she has to be this crazy empowered character. It's just like maybe quiver a little bit less.
It's just like a little. She can be a little too pathetic.
Stop shaking. It's okay.
In times, and like did distract me the first time I saw the movie. Distracted me when we watched it as well. Also, the set. I need to know where they shot this, because is this an actual hotel?
Can I look it up while you talk?
Yeah,
that way you're
not
distracted.
Because look up The Shining film location. Because this set is absolutely gorgeous, and if it's not in the studio,
although the film was shot almost entirely in the studio at Elstree Studios in Hertfordshire, England, where the hotel interior was constructed, the exterior of the Overlook Hotel is the Timberline Lodge, Mount Hood in the Hood River area of Northern Oregon.
Wow,
I'm going to look up the Timberline Lodge now.
It's so weird that
that's
a real place. In that case, the sets are so amazingly constructed. Like they've got different sections, like a Native American, a Native themed section, and various different differently decorated, like Art Deco, and then the massive ballroom, the gold ballroom.
Yeah, that was
the
sick.
set.
Now that would all be interior,
just,
but it's incredible.
I know, but that's stuff that they constructed. That's stuff that like Kubrick would have overseen every day.
For sure.
The sets are just, now that I know that that's not like an actual, because you'd never.
Oh, they have free Wi-Fi.
Because you would never know that it wasn't an actual ski resort thing.
Yeah.
You know, because it's so well put together and it's so convincing as that and so beautiful. Some moments haven't some moments haven't aged that well, maybe. I put down here Wendy's attempted bathroom escape.
Yeah.
I forget what exactly was bothering me about that. What was it? Because this is what happens when we make notes and then record like a week later.
So I'm sorry, I'm just looking up on Booking.com this lodge where The Shining was shot. Mm-hmm. In December to stay for 4 nights for one adult 4 nights would start at $737
a night.
So
or for 4 nights.
For 4 nights, I guess.
That's not that bad.
Close to $200 starting in December. Yeah, I guess that's not too bad.
No, let's go. Can you imagine how weird that would be
to
walk
2 times
outside,
in the last 24 hours?
Walk outside and be like, turn around and be like,
it's very highly rated. It seems like it's an excellent. So if you're in the Oregon area, this episode of the Good Ship Brothership is brought to you by the Timberline Lodge. Timberline Lodge, a touch of home when you're not.
I think also that going back to Kubrick's obvious, he's an auteur in every sense of the word.
Yeah.
The editing of it adds so much to the tension. The cuts, when he chooses to edit, the rhythm that he establishes, it always makes you feel kind of powerless, but not like, you know, some movies now, it's like you're on an amusement park ride. It's just like, wow, like, cut. Here's something. Yeah. There's something else. Kubrick's movements are fluid and smooth, and they always feel natural, except when they're not supposed to. His edits are always impeccable from, you know, what I saw. Yeah. I have down here, is Wendy annoying? And we can talk about that during your review. I have here, elements are either stereotypical or have become stereotypical. Elements of the film, and that's like another discussion. Certain elements just in the horror aspect of it, I think, and the storytelling aspects of it have, like, for instance, there's a sage, psychically enabled old African American man, and like that does seem a little bit like, open your eyes, son. You know.
Here's
like,
what I think, to an extent, though.
And now the part of the show where a young white man dates an old black man. Open your eyes, son.
So disappointed right now. But as I think we'll see in our next review, and this is more foreshadowing, I think sometimes cliches, when done well, are still excellent.
Yeah, I'm saying, like, I wonder if these things were cliche or if they've become cliche because of their use in this.
Yeah.
Overall, for me, I think it's a very excellent film. Both you and I, the first time I watched The Shining, I watched it like in 2 separate sittings and finished it on my phone at work in the break room on my lunch break or supper break, and was like just quaking in my boots. And this time when the film finished at like 3 a.m., pitch black, you and I are sitting there with the sound cranked on our headphones, took one short intermission in the middle. You and I kind of turned to each other and we're like, neither of us were really scared. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Neither. You know, the film presented itself, you know, just in a different way that time.
I'm not convinced it's a true horror film, though.
Please stop footseeing me.
I think it's more of like a psychological thriller.
That's what I'm kind of thinking as well. Like, there are definite horror elements.
Yeah, of course.
But it's Kubrickian, and that is a word. I know that sounds really... Yeah.
he's ubiquitous.
It is Kubrickian
He's
in the
the
sense of
zeitgeist.
like the wave of blood rolling. Like that's not something you see in a normal
How
horror
many Kubrick
film.
films have you seen? Because I should note, this is
1,
the
2,
first time
3.
I've seen a Stanley Kubrick film.
Maybe just 3.
This 2001 and
Clockwork Orange.
I gotta
and The
watch.
Shining.
Yeah.
That's all I can think of right now.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's enough for me to say that. But I think it's a really great movie. I think it is really tense, edge of your seat stuff. Okay, can you get your foot like
My foot's in the middle.
No, it is like absolutely not.
Yes. Look where the mic
Keep
is.
it
halfway.
You've got
halfway.
so much more room behind you.
Well,
Just
you want me
scoot
to
your chair back like 1 inch.
Do you understand how sore my back is?
I don't care. I don't want you tickling my feet with your feet.
Well, I don't want your feet to be tickled.
I think it's a great edge of your seat thriller. I think it would be suitable for almost anybody, regardless of whether or not you're a horror enthusiast.
Young children.
I mean, it definitely has tense moments, but nothing
nightmarish.
incredibly nightmarish.
Barring one fairly
just-
disturbing scene.
The one where we both got kind of scared.
Yeah.
Which isn't actually like in any way violent or grotesque at all.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of the film, is that a lot of the stuff, when you think about it, you see it and you're...
Now you're stealing what I'm going to talk about.
No, I'm not. I'm just that smart. I'm almost like you.
Okay.
Anyway, I really enjoyed it as much as I remembered enjoying it the first time. I think it'll be something that I'll return to probably when I just want like a little bit of a chill to creep up my spine, you know?
Yeah.
And that's my review.
Beauty. Now mine will be a little bit shorter, both because you took a while, which is fine, but also because I do agree.
We talked for like 10 minutes at the beginning.
Yeah. Because I do agree with quite a bit of what you say. So I mean, most of the things I don't cover that you cover, I mean, I just kind of concur with because a lot of it was correct and true. I think the first thing I noticed about The Shining, or the first thing I want to talk
Also, I just want to say I'm really looking forward to hearing what you're going to say, but because we don't know each other fight.
I think the movie is actually more unnerving as it sits with you. I think in the following days it scared me more than it scared me at the time.
Really?
Yeah, like I finished it and I was like, well that was interesting. But I think really good art of any kind stays with you, whether you're just like humming a good song, not like a crappy song that you get stuck in your head.
Yeah.
Or I think with a good game you go back to the characters or the mechanics, or you crave like that Hotline Miami score chasing or whatever. I just think any form of art kind of stays with you. And so it is with this. I found myself coming back to it mentally for days and days and days, thinking about these scenes and these shots, and his fantastic lighting. And it's been said by others that good cinematography is the cinematography you don't notice.
Mm-hmm.
I don't necessarily agree with that, but what I think is often perhaps truer is that good directing is directing that you don't notice. And I think that is really the case.
Good editing
with this.
is editing that you don't notice.
I think that what Stanley Kubrick did, and I mean this in the best, like most complimentary way possible, is I think he got out of the way of the story and the cast and the plot and sequence of events. And I think the movie is like so much the better for it. I've been trying to clean out my speech. Listening to IGN's podcast, listening to Marty Sleva, good guy.
Yeah.
Really bothers me how much he says like I just did.
Yeah.
Unintentionally. Because
Dude, how much do I say
I don't know. I guess I'll pay attention to that.
Yeah, pay attention to me, I'll pay attention to you.
Yeah. The thing that maybe stuck out to me most in the film is how much he has mastered sound. There's this one scene, my favorite scene in the whole movie by far, fairly early on. The son is riding his tricycle around, as he often does. And it's this low shot that follows him.
Isn't that a great shot?
It's a chase shot, like we would use in like the Fast and the Furious, but this kid on the tricycle.
And going through the hotel, which I'd just like to say, exactly what a kid would do in a huge abandoned hotel if you had a little pedal like trike.
I wouldn't, because I would be spooked. But that's just me. But he rides over this variety of surfaces, specifically from hardwood to carpet to hardwood to tile and stuff like that.
Yeah.
and the whole scene is totally silent except for the sound of the wheels on whatever surface he's on.
Yeah, that's
so you hear the sound of him rolling on the hardwood, and then it goes to the carpet and it's this muffled. And when you hear this quiet sound, what it reminds me of really is, so I get up early to go to work. I get up at like 5:15, and when I get stuff out in the morning, every sound is so amplified, and there's a certain tension to it, even when I'm like putting the kettle on or whatever, because you're trying to be quiet. And I think it really just lends to this tense atmosphere. And he's paid so much attention to the finer points of sound design that it really just makes the hairs on the back of your neck stand up, because there's this air of secrecy and intimacy and this kind of disturbing peacefulness, if that makes sense.
Well, I think now that we're talking about that shot in particular, I think maybe what that's inferring is the hotel or the forces there following him.
Yeah.
Or watching him and listening, you know. Which, when you think about it that way,
yeah, puts
that shot in an entirely different, and that just sequence in an entirely different light. Yeah. Which might not be what was intended, but very well could be. Also, I'd just like to say that Kubrick's editing, in particular, from cut to cut, you know, scene to scene, is like one of the things that he's praised most for, like universally.
As he should be.
Yeah.
I also think that characters are mostly interesting. I totally agree with you about the wife being...
Do you think she's annoying?
No, but I didn't like her character. Okay. I didn't find her annoying, but like, here's the thing. I think that, and I mentioned this a little bit earlier, I think people get way too bent out of shape about all these female characters needing to be strong. I think there is a need for strong women in film, but I don't think women in film have to uniformly be strong. Just like I don't think men in film need to uniformly be strong.
The real problem is just unrealistic portrayals of people in films. Yeah. Like, whether it's, you know, the superhero, male superheroes, whether it's the female sex objects, whether it's the really dumbed down, stupid, dull-headed men in films, or the, you know, women who need men. Yeah. These are all problems that, you know, either need to be addressed and haven't been, or are just being ignored in favor of more popular problems.
But what I was saying, mister, is that...
I was adding to the discussion.
Well, I don't think that always needs to be the case. She's also just unnecessarily a milquetoast in a way that just doesn't add to the movie at all. And I feel like if she were maybe a little bit more stoic, it actually would have been creepier, because nothing lets out attention like a character freaking out, as opposed to if the character was merely a little bit jumpy or skittish. I feel like the viewing experience would be creepier. I also found the whole twisted reality thing a little bit difficult, without getting too spoilery, even though I'm not convinced you really can spoil the movie, just because, you know, it is what it is. There is so much, like, if you actually stop to try and rationalize it, you end up basically just having the whole movie be like, all right, it's the psychoses or whatever. Like, oh, that's interesting. Go ahead with that. Well, we're not too far off.
I'm just, because I knew that Stephen King, who obviously wrote The Shining, the novel, disapproved of Kubrick's...
One of the smartest looking men.
Yeah, that's a pretty old one too. I was 2 years old when that picture's taken. Said in an interview with the BBC, King also criticized Shelley Duvall's performance in the film, stating, quote, "She's basically just there to scream and be stupid, and that's not the woman that I wrote about."
There you go. That's just what we're saying. Yeah. I just wish she had more of a head on her shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
And then also, I think what we were talking about with Jack Nicholson, the reason he's so creepy, I was thinking about that too. And I think
these are really interesting. I'm sorry to interrupt. Really interesting, like, noted discrepancies between the book and the film, just in terms of tone and, like, Anyway,
I think at his core, Jack Nicholson just has what Gregor Ehrlich from Wiretap would call a distinct lack of affability, where he just seems so incredibly untrustworthy.
He's really, like, stiff.
He seems so, like, oily that you just can't trust him. And then I think my final thought would be that the implication and the eerie peacefulness, the calm before the storm kind of thing, is what breeds tension so wonderfully. And I think that's what sets this apart from a horror film where you're horrified. I think a lot of times there's really no tension in fear. That's like the release. But what this movie has really mastered is that tension leading up to when you would be really freaked out. Just for like 2 hours or however long it is. I think it's a bit more than 2 hours. You have this deep unsettling impression that something's really not right. And yeah, overall I think it's fantastic. My only real complaint would be what I touched on earlier, which is, whoa, he looks like a cool fellow. Shout out to Scatman Crothers, the jazz musician. My only real criticism, I think, would be that it's a little bit too difficult to separate reality from fantasy.
I really like that.
And I feel like you could be a little bit like, wow, that's deep, man. But I also feel like it just cheapens both when you can't really tell the difference.
Let me read you this quote from, again, Stephen King talking about the film The Shining by Stanley Kubrick. Full content, yeah. Parts of the film are chilling, charged with a relentlessly claustrophobic terror, but others fall flat. Not that religion has to be involved in horror, but a visceral skeptic such as Kubrick just couldn't grasp the sheer inhuman evil of the Overlook Hotel. So he looked instead for evil in the characters and made the film into a domestic tragedy with only vaguely supernatural overtones. Well, maybe not vague. That was the basic flaw, because he couldn't believe. He couldn't make the film believable to others. What's basically wrong with Kubrick's version of The Shining is that it's a film by a man who thinks too little, who thinks too much, and feels too little. And that's why, for all its virtuoso effects, it never gets you by the throat and hangs on the way real horror should.
That's an interesting thought, because I don't think it gets you by the throat.
These are all, that's like the core gripe that King seems to have had with it. I'm dying to read the book now.
Yeah, well, we should.
But anyway,
yeah, that's The Shining. Let's move
on. So you really enjoyed it, though?
I really enjoyed it. I feel like I said, the things I didn't touch on I agree with. So I feel like some parts of it haven't aged well. I think that the only strong characters are Jack Nicholson, and I think the hotel itself could be considered a character.
Scatman Crothers, though, who plays...
he's a little played out. What does he really bring to the film?
I mean, he brings a warmth and like a... He as a character is very important.
I guess.
For what he represents. I also think that the kid, the child actor, was also actually quite good.
I feel like he doesn't do much except for those couple scenes where he's really creepy.
But he does...
He's a conduit, I'll give you that.
He does do that well. Like, how could you expect a kid to do that well?
But I totally agree. It seems like a film that was supposed to be emotions-based made by someone who is thought-based.
Yeah, and that's very much Kubrick. And
I would still be in like the 8-something out of 10 range. It was very good.
Yep, I think so too. And that's why we need to sit down and watch 2001, because that's like Kubrick doing Kubrick. You know, not Kubrick doing Kid. Next up, Cleopatra, an album by the Lumineers. Who goes now?
You go, otherwise they hear me talk too much.
That's right. Okay, so I will read.
Which is too bad, because I have some really good openers on this, but I'll just wait.
Cleopatra is the second. Do you know that?
Yeah,
studio
we
album.
Discussed that.
That's right. Whoa. Cleopatra is the second studio album by American indie folk band The Lumineers. The album was released in the United States April 8th, 2016, and contains the singles Ophelia, Cleopatra, and Angela. The album received positive reviews and commercial success, debuting at number 1 on the UK Albums Chart and the Billboard 200. The cover is a photograph of actress Theda Bara. There is like literally no other information on Wikipedia, which is slightly...
It received positive reviews.
Slightly surprising.
It says it received positive reviews, but Metacritic average is 67. That is not
Pop Matters gave it 60, saying if the Lumineers' debut record was a representation of their metaphorical college years, Cleopatra is definitely their more mature but confused post-grad understanding of fame.
That's a little savage.
Okay, so start off by saying this is not necessarily a genre of music that I'm a fan of. This kind of like new folk
Americana, folk rock, indie folk are the genres.
Indie folk.
Yeah.
Indie folk. Those two words together are literally all you need to know about the genre this album is in. Indie, that's actually repulsive that's actually a genre, and it's kind of like legitimately upsetting me to look at that. So I'm going to close that. So Lumineers, of course, you know, had a couple massive hits with like Ho Hey and all that. What was the other one off that album, their first album?
I only knew Ho Hey off the first album that I can think of.
That was years ago that they put that album out as well. And I think that they've been touring a lot. I know that they opened for U2 quite a bit, but so indie folk. Very jangly, chordy guitars, you know, lyrics about girls who live far away.
With names like Cleopatra and Ophelia.
Yeah. A lot of stomping, a lot of reverb, a lot of hand clapping, a lot of very high-pitched singing. So, my central struggle with the idea of the Lumineers, and not even their music itself, is genre. Have you ever listened to the Sheepdogs?
Maybe only a couple songs. Not enough to talk about them.
Okay, so the Sheepdogs are a band from, I think, out east, Canada, Maritimes. And they won some big battle of the bands, like a huge Molson, I think. I could be completely wrong. And they kind of achieved fame that way and got a kickstart to their career. Great musicians, good for them. However, I cannot become enthusiastic in their music just because of the fact that it's so derivative, not from any one particular artist, which, you know, could be better or worse, but just it's a standing pool of water into which every predecessor in one genre has run. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
They've soaked up everything from one genre. It's like blues musicians now. Blues musicians back in the day, Buddy Guy, you know, B.B. King, who am I missing? Come on. Muddy Waters. Those guys legitimately had their own voice and were doing things their own way and playing the blues in their own way. And now blues artists, literally like Joe Bonamassa, just sounds like B.B. King mixed with watered down Eric Clapton.
Yeah.
This is the problem that I have with a band like the Lumineers, is that they're trapped in a genre. And it's not just a genre like alternative rock, which is deep and wide. It's a genre of indie folk, which is narrow and shallow. And there's just not a lot that they seem to allow themselves to do in terms of song construction, in terms of just musicality, any of that. There just doesn't seem to be, like, their rule book must be dense, you know?
Yeah.
That being said, a lot of this album did work for me in terms of just the songwriting of it. And let's be clear, that is what you're coming to this album for. You are not coming for musicality. You're not coming for conceptuality. What you're coming for is a song to listen to, you know, when it's nighttime and you're missing that person who, you know, you just wish you could be with, but she's on the other side of the world, man. You know, and you remember that day when she got on the train and the train pulled away.
Was it Cleopatra? Maybe it was Angela.
And you're standing there with your plaid flannel on and your beard brushing your nipples, and you're just so sad.
I just love taking a comb to your nips.
But you'll wait for her, because that's how much of a doormat you are. Like that's basically the album. That's their songs. And my standout tracks are Gale Song, which is it crept up on me, and just like it's a bit of a common denominator song, you know. It's, you know, you'll be back in spring, I can wait till then, and then all like lyrics like that. but it it flies directly to the center of emotion, and it does resonate and it does work. And then Angela, which I think is like an absolutely phenomenal song, like absolutely fantastic, better than anything else I've heard that they have written, and like really works on that level of like of singer-songwriter. Now, none of this stuff though is really folky. It's all very contrived folk, there's folk music is writing, politically. It's writing about where you're from.
Bright eyes.
Writing about, yeah, exactly, like what you've seen. It's telling stories. This is very watered down, very, and there are theories circulating, and well, no, they're not theories. The album is supposed to be loosely conceptual. I don't know if you know that. I'm pretty sure Angela...
Because you can only write one song over and over again.
Angela, Cleopatra, and Ophelia are all interwoven. If you watch the music videos, you see the characters kind of interweaving and crossing paths and that sort of thing. And, that's all well and good if you're Pink Floyd. But if you're a folk band, that's not going to get you a lot of brownie points with me, to be honest.
But what's the differentiation? Why are you just so much harder on them just because they're a folk band?
Because that's not, like... necessarily that's not something that will make a folk album substantially better, is saying, oh, by the way, these 3 songs are connected.
I guess, but like you talk about how normal and watered down they are, and then they do this differently, and you're like, well, that doesn't
but
work
it's
for me.
not that here's my opinion. If you have to watch the music videos to know that it's a concept album, it's not a concept album. They're concept music videos.
Well, that's a valid thing, though, to be like, hey, we made this music video, they add a layer to the song.
I mean, I have no way to know if that was, like, their intent or not.
The album is complete without them, but it also opens up more discussion if you do watch and enjoy them.
Yeah, and I mean, it's a very simple,
yeah,
slightly meaningless story with no real beginning or end.
Yeah.
From what I could tell.
It's supposed to be widely identifiable by a large group of people.
Yeah, and that's the thing as well. Like, is that then conceptual? I mean, I suppose, but
it's
like...
relatable.
It's
which
not...
is similar, but not the same thing.
And it seems like haven't tried very hard to tell anything specific here. I'm really not a fan of the title track, Cleopatra.
Really?
Or maybe I'm thinking of Ophelia. Because I really don't like Ophelia. But I don't think
That was Cleopatra.
Yeah, I don't think that I like Cleopatra that much either. Yeah. And I really hated Gun Song.
Which one is that?
Well, we can play a snippet.
So overall, would you say you're positive or like lukewarm or what? Because you're all over the place, which is fine.
I know. These are my thoughts.
You didn't like this one?
Dun, 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 dun,
really?
Dun. It leans so hard on the dun, 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 and he just sings along to the melody, and then he just goes, oh, you know what we're going to do now?
Okay, that actually does drive me up the wall. Okay, hurry
it's
up,
just like,
I'm really
can you
excited
just
to review it.
hop on and off the beat like a little bit, or just not be so white? Like, I can literally hear the hair growing through his skinny jeans when they do stuff like that. But for the song Angela alone, that song is worth the price of the entire album to me. I mean, I know nobody...
Isn't this what you said about...
I know, I feel like that's all I'm saying now.
What did you say for... What was the last one we did? There's another album recently, and you're like, for... Maybe was it Jamiroquai or something? There was like one song where you're like...
But I know, I feel like that's what I've been saying lately. But I do, seriously.
Before you know, you're going to be like, I'm more of a song guy.
Some of the...
Shuffle.
I'm really not. Some of the songs, another problem I have with the songwriting, some of the songs just seem to like end.
Yeah.
And they don't have like real, like it's just...
It doesn't resolve.
And then it's just, yeah, we didn't really think about what to do from here, so it's kind of over. And that really bothers me just because I'm like, come on, like you're writing songs, feel when it's supposed to end. I don't care if the song's 2 minutes or 10 minutes. I think some of the songs are stronger than they actually seemed to me upon listening, but Angela is just such a good song that the rest of them actually seem somewhat shabby in comparison. That's a curse that a lot of great bands have had to deal with. I don't think the Lumineers are a great band. One thing that would make them maybe a bit of a great band. What I feel like the Lumineers could greatly benefit from is a Jimmy Page. What a band like this, what would elevate
Is there a
them?
band alive that wouldn't benefit from a Jimmy Page?
What would really elevate a band like this, though, and you can please agree or disagree with me when I say this, it would be an amazing guitarist. Like somebody who's just tasteful but who's still kind of flashy.
That's
like,
why you're listening to Dire Straits. It's like a good band, but they have a great guitarist.
Yeah, but I guess it's different for this. This is radio music. This is a different day and age when that kind of guitar playing is not widely proliferated or like even sought after. I just think that it would add so much to a lot of these songs. So overall, the jangly chord foot stompy thing, I can get down with it for an album, for a couple listens. I listen to it quite a lot, and at no point was I like really aggressively angry except for during Gun Song with the super irritating.
Yeah,
but honestly, Angela, just that Gale song, both of those songs are like absolutely phenomenal, and the rest of it feels like they didn't try very hard.
Is that it?
Yep.
Okay. Let me start by discussing the central problem of the idea of the band of the Lumineers.
What? You just plagiarized me as I was going, or what?
Yeah. When I first... I had heard of them before, but when I was first really introduced to the Lumineers was this spring at the Christian youth event Pitch and Praise. And how I was introduced to them was the Battle of the Bands we went to because we didn't really feel like going to anything, I guess, that was like more instructional. And we kind of just wanted to make fun of people. And we had Craig with us, so we could do that with impunity. And like 2/3 of the entrants just were like, yeah, this is my cover of Cleopatra, or this is my cover of Angela. And they were just
all covering stuff.
Almost all of them, not all of them, but most of them.
Where my band played.
No, the big stage, the Battle of the Bands, like the talent show, not the Battle of the Bands.
Okay, thanks for saying that incorrectly.
And after that, and after listening to this album now, I realized that the Lumineers are living the hipster dream because every bearded man with a fancy hat wants to stomp his hands to the Telecaster and spank his tambourine.
Stomp his hands to the Telecaster?
And he wants to sing about driving down the highway in an old Volvo. But at the same time, like... Oh, look at that ring. Never have I been so unhappy to like something. I wanted to hate this album so much going into it. I was like, I'm going to hate it.
I really did too, yeah.
I'm so excited to have a review where I can just tear it apart and just hate it.
Because did you see my Facebook post too?
Yeah.
Yeah. Where I said, I really want to hate the Lumineers, but this song is amazing. And why did you say that?
No, I did see.
Then,
see, check if I liked it. I think I saw it. I think the album is formulaic, but at the same time, I'm going to use this for the
Boy, is it ever.
I'm going to use this for the second time this album, this very specific phrase. It is a tour de force in how to make a clappy, foot-stomping album where, like, the guitarist changes his own strings but never cuts the bits off the headstock, so it's just all, that's the kind of band this is.
Did you watch any live performances?
No.
You should see the guitar that the...
We're reviewing the album, not the band. I'm just kidding.
That's good.
But was his guitar like that?
No, his string ends were neatly clipped, but he was playing like some ancient semi-hollow of no discernible make or model with like only a neck pickup.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, sounded fine and like good for him, but it was completely what I expected.
Now a brief intermission while we see if I like this post.
This is gonna take quite
you
some time.
You post so much.
Not really.
Oh, I forgot about that vape thing.
And how we chewed in the intro.
Yeah, well, I didn't forget about that.
I want to hate the Lumineers.
Did I like it?
Probably not. You don't really support me.
No.
Everything I do, yeah. That's not surprising.
So, I think maybe the songs are a little bit too samey, and my kind of barometer for that was how many track names could I list just without looking at them. Okay. I listened to this album probably 20 times in the last few weeks, like almost every day. I listened to it more than most albums we reviewed, because at the heart of it, I did enjoy it quite a bit. But yeah, I couldn't like most of the songs you named that aren't some sort of weird woman's name like Ophelia or Cleopatra, I couldn't name, with the exception of Angela, which is obviously the standout track. But at the same time, I think the album does flow quite nicely. It has smooth transitions, and I like how over several tracks it'll gradually transition from chill to, you know, like some finger snapping, floor thumping, rhythm grooving, Mumford frickin' good times.
I don't think that this album comes anywhere near Mumford and Sons, to be honest.
No, I haven't listened to enough Mumford and Sons, but I just like the term Mumford frickin' good times.
Okay, sure, yeah, it's great.
Mumford and Sons is probably better.
Fantastic.
I think that his songwriting is sort of predictable, but also just like comfort food.
Yeah.
And I think that it's, you know, not really impeded by a lack of creativity. Like, I don't think everyone needs to be... What?
So on the page for Angela, the Lumineers song, the Lumineers have said that the song Angela is about, quote, a small town beauty struggling to escape her past. And the Lumineers also mentioned how the name Angela comes from lead singer Wesley Schultz's ex-girlfriend,
Angela.
Wow. Angela Hennard, noting, although we didn't work out, she still holds a place in my heart. That's why she's brought up on multiple songs. Wow. So wow. That's deep, man. A small town. I just liked, it's about a small town beauty struggling to escape her past. Oh,
aren't they all?
OMG.
But I think Angela, and actually I think Cleopatra too, are these really beautiful songs that really have that sort of groove folk down to a science, where like you have that nice even guitar like that. Okay, it's getting late. We gotta put this to bed.
Yeah, man. It's 9:15 out here.
But I think that what I learned from listening to this album is that sometimes you don't need to reinvent the wheel. Bless you. This album is full of not necessarily faults, but just unexceptional qualities. Like,
it's a bowl of cornflakes.
Like, what was your favorite moment with the bass? What was your favorite moment with the drums?
Well, they don't really have a drummer.
What was your favorite moment with the tambourines? Oh wait, the whole album was tambourines. If you took the tambourines out of this album, it would be a cappella.
Their Jimmy Page is actually on tambourine.
Yeah, no kidding. And I think that the whole foot stomping and hand clapping is a little bit overdone, even though that's their thing.
Put on this album, honky tonk piano as well,
which was good. So instrumentation, I would say, was not a standout. I think writing was kind of what I wanted. Like,
the instrumentation wasn't so much standout as it was stand-in.
Yeah, exactly.
Bang.
And I think, but I have to give them credit. Like, it's good music to listen to while you drive. It's good music to listen to while you work. Like,
I could see like a lot of teenage people crying over predictable breakups to this.
But at the same time, I feel like it just is quality. Like, what can I say? It's not exceptional, but it's not horrible. It's certainly better than City and Color.
Yeah, it is. Very much so.
It's probably, I would say, on a similar level to Omar Rodriguez Lopez, even though it's significantly less creative. I feel like it's also a little bit more refined.
If I could choose to have one put into the fire forever, it would be this album. No contest. Just because Omar Rodriguez Lopez is at least like
second fall,
like that was an interesting album, and it was thick.
It's my alarm in the morning.
Is it?
Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah, so I would say overall this would be like a 7 out of 10 for me. I think if you like this sort of music, you should absolutely listen to it. I think it's really not very hateable, and that might be its kind of greatest downfall.
It is very in stretches it gets really bland, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. And I also found that the lead singer's voice wore on me a little bit, just because he only ever sings in the one register, like
but no,
you know,
yeah,
that was relatable.
But The biggest compliment I can give it, to those of you who know my opinions, I can be a little bit opinionated. And I went to this album and I really wanted to hate it. And the fact that I came out the other side, put it through the ringer, and would say I actively enjoy it is a great compliment. You know? It took quite a bit for me to not hate it.
And I mean, me too.
And it would probably have been in my honorable mentions for album of the year last year, had I known about it.
It wouldn't have been for
It
me.
wouldn't have been in my top 3, but it would have been in honorable mentions.
Like I said, there are 2 exceptional songs on the album. 3 max. The rest of it is pretty much filler.
Yeah.
For me. And but it's not filler that is completely devoid of enjoyment.
Speaking of filler, what are we talking about next time?
What are we filling next week?
We were talking about the Arcade Fire album, which has released maybe like a month ago.
No, a couple weeks
ago, which is entitled Everything Now. Is entitled and titled the same thing? No, because you can be entitled to something, but you're not titled. But can I say the album is entitled Everything Now?
I think so. No, just say titled.
Okay.
The album titled Everything Now.
And what else are we talking about? I have ideas.
Dunkirk?
Yeah, why not? We're going to see Dunkirk in a couple days.
Yeah.
Better late than never.
Yeah, so we'll two nice, fresh, new, shiny things, sort of, that as per usual we're slightly behind the curve on, but that's just how we do. You know, we digest. The reviews that you see of albums and stuff or movies like the day after they came out always just rankles me so much
because it doesn't sit long enough.
You can't think about it think about it. Take some time.
The needle drop. He knows what he's talking about. I know.
Anthony Fantano, piece of.
Shout out to anybody with the needle drop.
Yeah, he just thinks he's a lot funnier than he is. He thinks he's iDubbbz.
But then again, so do we.
Oh, 100%, yeah. But, like, the difference is we're actually funny.
So I was talking to Spencer and Dav. Shout out to Spencer and Dav.
Yeah, hey guys, thanks for listening
to the show. About iDubbbz and Filthy Frank. Okay. They love iDubbbz. Had to stop watching Filthy Frank because they didn't like it. I was like, I feel like Filthy Frank's been more consistent than iDubbbz, even though iDubbbz is on the upswing and Filthy Swank.
Filthy Swank! That's what they call me.
I'm not even gonna finish what I was saying. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's over.
After Filthy Swank, I'm out of here.
All right, everybody.
Thank you. High school
Thank you so much for listening.
Swank.
Please feel free to like, share, subscribe, and donate blood.
Filthy Swank.
Tune in next time when we talk about Everything Now by Arcade Fire and Dunkirk by Christopher Nolan and Harry Styles' face.
Oh, I want to see Harry Styles' acting debut.
You're gonna.
Methaqualone.